So I am Abdul Malik Adio.
And I'm Ruth Aguilen. Nice to have you join us. First, the headlines.
The ballot remains the only constitutional means of changing government. Presidency reminds intending protesters.
We have introduced counter-insurgency training, counter-terrorism training, anti-banditry, anti-kidnapping, and search and rescue, and all the likes.
The military up to the tax of ending banditry and other criminalities across the country, says NDA boss.
University Don advocates creation of Office of Violation General of the Federation as part of reforms in land administration.
Cryptic pregnancies, what are they? Correspondent trails the worries and burdens over the latest fad in town.
Now we begin the news with the judiciary. Kaduna High Court is scheduled to rule this morning on the bail application by the leader of Islamic Movement of Nigeria, Sheikh Ibrahim El-Zakzaky, to seek medical attention abroad. Achari Maxwell reports that security has already been beefed up around the court.
Movement is restricted to and around the High Court premises. Cameras by journalists covering the proceedings are kept meters away from the court, while security is beefed up on all roads leading to the court to enforce the restriction order. It is not business as usual at the popular Mahmoud Gumi Central Market, which is located a few meters away from the court. The State Police Command had earlier on reiterated that the ban on public procession and unlawful assembly is still in force, but assured law-abiding citizens of protection of lives and property. In Kaduna, Achari Maxwell, NTA News.
And reports just reaching us states Council and the petition of Hope Democratic Party are now adopting their final addresses before the presidential election petition court sitting in Abuja. In the petition, Hope Democratic Party and its candidate Ambrose Owuru claimed that in a referendum conducted on February 16, 2019, that they polled 50 million votes. In the light of this, the petitioners are urging the courts to declare their candidate, Ambrose Owuru, the president. The petitioners are, however, not challenging the victory of President Muhammadu Buhari in the February 23, 2019 presidential election. And the presidency is reminding Nigerians that a ballot box remains the only constitutional means of challenging government, with emphasis on the fact that the days of coup are over. This is in reaction to calls by a group, Global Coalition for Security and Democracy in Nigeria, for a planned revolution protest on Monday, 5th August, with the aim of bringing about a regime change. A statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Medium Publicity, Garba Shehu, pointed out that the difference between peaceful call to protest, which he said is an inalienable right of all citizens, and incitement for a revolution. Garba Shehu said less than 6 months ago, Nigeria held simultaneous presidential and parliamentary elections, which were won resoundingly by President Muhammadu Buhari and his All Progressives Congress Party, and attested to by a core of international election monitoring missions. The presidency therefore tasked those hiding behind every citizen to attain power through undemocratic, violent means to come clean and lead their march in person. Only then, the statement adds, may they begin to have the right to call themselves leaders before the people of Nigeria.
Meanwhile, the Department of State Service has confirmed that Omoyele Sowore, presidential candidate of AAC coordinating a planned nationwide protest, is in its custody.
Spokesperson of the service confirmed this to newsmen in Abuja. Francis Pham has the report.
Sowore and others featured in a viral video urging Nigerians to join a nationwide protest planning for Monday, the 5th of August. The Department of State Services, whose responsibility is to manage, curtail, contain, and eliminate threats against national security, confirmed his arrest early Sunday morning warning groups who may want to disrupt the peace of the country to have a rethink.
Shaware is with us so that we can do the needful. DSS will not idle by, stand by, and watch people, self-serving people take laws into their hands. We will do all that is within the law to discharge our responsibility.
The Nigeria police had earlier issued a statement warning the organizers and sympathizers of the Global Coalition for Security and Democracy group to desist from their planned protest, demonstration, and proposed revolution march. Similarly, leadership of the organized labor dissociated itself from such planned protests. DSS asked Nigerians to go about their lawful business without fear of intimidation or harassment by any group of persons. In Abuja, Francis Form, NTA News.
Still on security matters, the Commandant, Nigerian Defense Academy, Kaduna Major General Adeniyi Oyebode, has reassured Nigerians that the military is up to the task of ending banditry and other criminalities across the country, as directed by President Muhammadu Buhari.
The commandant gave the assurance at the Camp Highland Battle inoculation for the Nigerian Defense Academy cadets held at the Nigerian Army Training Center, Kontagora, in Niger State. Mukhtar Abubakar Wuwu reports.
It is not a war, but training exercises of the military cadets to expose them to the conventional warfare in different terrain so as to be able to confront the contemporary security challenges in the country. The 631 cadets, 46 female inclusive, completed their training at the Nigerian Army Training Area, Kontagora. The training marks the end of all the training exercises of the cadets who are expected to be commissioned in October this year. The commander, Nigerian Defense Academy, Major General Adeniyi Oyebode, while commending President Muhammadu Buhari for his support to the NDA, assured Nigerians that the cadets have been adequately trained to be able to carry out tactical operations after commission.
We have introduced counter-insurgency training, counter-terrorism training, anti-banditry, anti-kidnapping, and search and rescue, and all the likes, including, of course, the conventional training.
Niger State Governor Abubakar Sani Bello says it has become necessary to partner the armed forces to secure forests across the state.
State government will partner with any service that wants to conduct extensive military exercises in Niger State.
The guests of honor and some other civilians were put to test in a novelty shooting to understand what the military goes through during warfare. The event marked the end of the 2 weeks training engagement of the cadets at the Nigerian Army Training Area, Kontagora. Mukhtar Abubakar, NTA News.
And from security matters, we move to flood, sequel to the prompt intervention of the 2018 flood disaster by the National Emergency Management Agency. The United States Department of Agriculture has extended training to response units of the national and state emergency management agencies across the country.
Ilyasu Ali Yakubu reports that the training is to further consolidate on the gains of the 2018 flood response.
The 2018 floods disaster may have ravaged about 34 states, with 9 states under a state of a national disaster. But the prompt intervention by NEMA is said to have reduced the number of casualties by more than 40% compared to that of 2012 floods disaster. These achievements were recorded due to the high level of training and retraining of NEMA staff on response and intervention. The training is geared towards enriching the response units of the 2 agencies to make them proactive in responding to disaster-related matters.
With this knowledge, I can be able to impact a lot, and so many lives are going to be safe.
The training is really very rich. It goes a long way to put us in shape in how we realize the goals of the agencies.
Director General, National Emergency Management Agency, Mustafa Mehadja, expressed gratitude to the United States of America and promised to make the 2019 flood intervention more proactive.
We have really benefited from this training in 2018 flood. We didn't envisage we will have such kind of devastating flood situation. But the moment it happened, it came to the thought of the management to deploy those trained, and they perform wonderfully on site.
It's a baseline or foundation training, teaching students the principles and the basic organization of the incident command system and how it works on disasters.
A simulation exercise on the intervention was displayed in readiness for any eventuality. In Abuja, Ilyasu Aliyakubu, NTA News.
And on a somber note, the body of the Director of Finance of FCT High Court, the victim of last Friday flood in Galadimawa, has been recovered at the riverbank behind the China Chamber of Commerce along Abuja Airport Road. Ilyasu Onotu Yakubu report.
The search team resumed operation at the Galadimawa point of the incident as early as 8 o'clock Sunday morning. Diligently, the team, comprising personnel of NEMA, FCT Emergency Management Agency, operatives of the Civil Defense Corps, and local divers, combed through the bushes along the bank of the river towards Lugbe at the airport road. At about 12 noon, information got to the team that the advanced team had found the body of the victim at a farm along the bank of the river behind the China Chamber of Commerce towards Airport Road. The body was immediately transported to the Asokoro District Hospital mortuary, where family, friends, and colleagues were seen wailing uncontrollably.
It's a natural disaster, but we as a government will do our best to reduce the incidences. May his soul rest in peace once more.
Let me commend all the rescue workers, including the security agencies, who have been very supportive in this task.
The FCT Permanent Secretary and the Director General of FEMA advised residents to be cautious of distress situations, especially during rainy seasons, to prevent unforeseen circumstances. In Abuja, Ilyasu Onotu Yakubu, NTA News.
Professor Mohamed Bashir Nuhu has advocated creation of the Office of the Valuation General of the Federation as part of reforms in land administration of the country.
The Professor of Estate Management and Valuation made the suggestion during the 72nd inaugural lecture of the Federal University of Technology, Mina, with the theme Land Safety, How Secure. Dauda Mohammed reports.
So Mohamed Bashir Nuhu's inaugural lecture with the theme Land Safety, How Secured centered his presentation on the Land Use Act of 1978 and identified lack of uniformity in the laws governing land use and ownership as one of the encumbrances in the 41-year-old law governing land administration in Nigeria. The Professor of Estate Management and Valuation proposed amendments to the law to include the need to remove the Land Use Act from the Constitution, review of consent and title issues, compensation and other areas.
Essentially, when you transform land, you're transforming the country. And there's a lot of win-win situation that it will accrue to it.
Professor Bashir Nuhu also made contribution on the rural grazing areas Ruga settlements program.
Well, it's quite unfortunate that people didn't understand the Ruga issue, because sincerely speaking, it will address quite a number of challenges that have been there.
Cross-section of participants that attended the lecture commended the scholars' contribution and suggestions, which calls for the entrenchment of geographic information system in all states of the Federation and streamlining of title documents.
There are recommendations is given that are particularly targeted at government and the political class because they are matters of the Constitution.
The distinguished professor has opened up an area of concern in the country. You know, this is to bring sanity to the land use system of this great country.
For the past 20 years, since the Community Administration, that's at the national level, they've been talking about empowering the citizen through title. Why are they talking about that? When you have title, you have certificate over your property, you can go for facility in the bank or another thing.
Nigeria is estimated to have 92.4 million hectares of land, with most of it unutilized, which lends credence to the slogan, Reform Land, Transform Nigeria. In Mina, Dauda Mohammed, NTA News.
The Plateau State Governor, Simon Lalong, has congratulated the candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Yakubu Yaksin Sanda, who won the Pangana constituency by-election in Busa local government area of Plateau State, conducted by the Independent National Electoral Commission on Saturday, August 3, 2019. In a statement by his Director of Press Affairs, Dr. Makut Simon Macham, described the victory of the APC candidate as another confirmation of the trust and confidence that the people of Plateau State, and in particular Pangana constituency, have in rescue administration. Governor Lalong commended the Independent National Electoral Commission, security agencies, election observers and monitors, and other stakeholders for working together in ensuring the conduct of a free, fair and credible election, while challenging the victorious APC candidate, Yakubu Yaksin Sanda, to ensure that he justifies the votes and trust to him by the people, and the governor urged other candidates to support the winner towards the progress of Pangana constituency, the Plateau State as a whole. The final results, as announced by the returning officer, Professor Noel Wanang at the Government College, Jengri, show that the APC candidate pulled 9,222 votes to beat other candidates, including his closest rival, Yakubu Busa Biji of the People's Democratic Party, who scored 7,883 votes, giving the margin of 2,144 votes. The Pangana State constituency election was conducted to replace the former occupant, Mr. Ezekiel Afon, who died shortly after he was declared winner during the March 23rd poll, and was held in 127 polling units across 7 wards that make up the constituency, with over 60,000 registered voters.
You're watching the news at 10 on NTA News 24. More reports when we return. Stay with us.
Many thanks for staying tuned. And now to business news. The federal government declaration and support for local content seem to be giving Nigerian manufacturers an edge on the continent, especially when the African Continental Free Trade Area comes on board. Details with Kolo Mohammed.
Thanks for joining us at this time. The African Continental Free Trade Area is bracing up to revolutionize manufacturing across the continent. The manufacturers in Africa must brace up if gainful competitiveness is their target. A lawyer turned manufacturer says her drive is premised upon federal government declaration and support for local content.
A message to Mr. President, because he triggered us to do this, and we hope to get all the supports we can from them. The military shouldn't be going outside to do anything. See, these are their boots. Yeah, locally manufactured. If you get that, can you help me get that shoe? No, the shoe, the police. Look at this, you won't believe they're made here. Police shoes, we make everything here.
Wow, there you have it. Made in Nigeria by Nigerians for Africa and the rest of the world. Still talking FG's quest to diversify the economy, agriculture is a tool upon which economic growth away from oil is predicated. A development expert talks about what needs to be done and how.
The farmers of tomorrow are today's youths. Okay, if you look at the average age of farmers in Nigeria, and indeed Africa as a whole, it's about 65 years. These are not the farmers that can sustain agricultural productivity in this country. So the youths that we have today are the ones that we need to empower so that they become the farmers of tomorrow, and not the type of farmers that their parents and grandparents did, but farmers that have the new technologies, the new knowledge to sustain and transform. We are talking of transformative agriculture, not the rudimentary agriculture that we are used to.
And finally, proceedings on the Florence stock market is on as we speak. And as always, NTA Business News will bring you up to speed later in the day on outcomes of proceedings when the market closes. Presented in hopes that this package helps you take informed developmental and economic decisions. See you again soon.
Ruth, it's very much interesting to know that we own ours now when it comes to business, music, movies. It cut across, and we show our ingenuity.
Yes, indeed, and there's still more to explore, Malik. You know, the Nigerians, I always say, are very talented, and I've interacted with a lot of entrepreneurs who are making things here proudly made in Nigeria, and you'll be so amazed at what they can do with their hands.
Interesting. Gifted hands, I say.
Yes.
All right. Moving on, the quest to improve agricultural productivity is gaining more momentum, with more products and methods being introduced to make it attractive to Nigerian youths.
To this end, a meeting was held between the Chief Whip of the Senate, Orji Uzo Kalu, Federal Ministry of Agriculture, and National Leadership of the Radio, Television, and Theatre Arts Workers Union, Ratau. National Assembly correspondent Abdullahi Aminu reports.
The federal government's program to ensure food security and representation of the Nigerian farm produce to the world food markets was a reason for the sharing of ideas between the stakeholders. It is with a view to produce a reality television show on NTA StarTimes platform as regards to agriculture, a major source of employment. With the theme Hope for Niger, the television reality show will be public-private driven.
This, we believe, is the right decision, and we are the right people.
It's about taking opportunity and hope back to the streets of Nigeria so that our people will go back to preparation.
The project tends to showcase the actual living condition and farms management by hundreds of youth to be nominated for the program.
The land we have is our strength. We should go back. Everywhere should be food in Nigeria.
It will help us not only to produce a bill backing you, but to raise motions that will fast-track this thing you are talking about.
The project is officially promoted by the Federal Ministry of Agriculture to provide 10 million jobs in 10 years. It is in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Education, Federal Ministry of Sports, Radio, Television and Theatre Arts Workers Union Ratau, and NTA StarTimes Network, amongst others. Abdullahi Aminu, NTA News.
Now, the federal government says it maintains transparency devoid of corruption in the execution of $200 million joint World Bank Agri project.
In the view of this, a one-week capacity building workshop was organized to acquaint government officials who will execute the 5-year project at national and state levels with the needed knowledge. Musa Baba Aliyu reports.
150 officers are to implement the project at both national and state levels. This capacity building workshop is therefore organized for the staff towards ensuring that they carry out their duties according to the World Bank standard and guidelines.
But with the information we're being equipped on, with the knowledge we're acquiring, it's going to be a very good guide for us so we don't run into problems.
I've learned a lot, especially on the project document appraisal, that is the part, and also the project implementation manual.
The different method used by the bank to disburse loans, proceeds.
The issue of transparency and accountability took the center stage at the training.
To be accountable, to be transparent, to be
to attach value to money, fit for purpose is my professional ethics, and I've also acquired more. I've been exposed more on this ethics.
Transparency is one thing where whatever we do, we have a criteria, and whoever comes must meet the criteria of the Kano State government, the federal government, and the World Bank. So what we do, for example, we don't entertain a farmer who has not been registered by a recognized organization.
The essence of this project facilitation training is to build the capacity of the PIUs so that they can effectively manage and implement the activities at the state level for us to achieve our project development objective.
The project is designed to provide financial and logistics support to 60,000 farmers in the next 5 years. From Lagos, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
And from agri to technology, the National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA, has signed off 5 regulatory instruments in line with its quest to ensure sufficient utilization of indigenous technology for enhanced governance and economic development.
Khalil Mohammed reports that the obsolescence of our local technology puts to test the integrity in such national data application.
It will be recalled that on the 25th of January 2019, NITDA signed off 5 regulatory instruments, and today, 7 months down the line, 5 more regulatory instruments have been signed off, bringing the number to 10. NITDA says the integrity of national data can best be protected, processed, and presented when local technology is harnessed and adopted.
And that is why you will clearly see that all our regulatory instruments are very friendly. They are only making an effort to develop IT, to give priority and preference to our indigenous technology.
The regulatory instruments to be presented to the public at this event include guidelines for Nigeria content development in information and communication, Nigeria e-government interoperability framework, Nigeria ICT innovation and entrepreneurship vision, Nigeria cloud computing agency.
There's a need that data